Every week, millions of people are having conversations with AI systems. They are asking for medical advice, getting credit decisions explained, and resolving complaints. And many of those systems sound human. They feel trustworthy. And most of the organizations that are deploying these systems have no idea what design choices that are actually driving each one of these conversations. Allegra, our CTO here at Lumira, you just got back from a keynote at the Conversational Design Institute's annual conference. It's called Beyond Boundaries in Barcelona. And we got to see this question answered. So, welcome to the conversation today.
Thank you.
And let's get started. We are a boutique advisory firm, Lumira. We're focused on responsible AI strategies. So, Allegra, tell me, what is conversational design actually? What are we talking about when we're talking about conversational AI?
Yeah, when we say conversational AI, it's really any system that you can engage with in natural language and it understands what you've said, it interprets what you meant, and then responds in some fashion. And this spectrum really ranges from the old school scripted sort of decision tree chatbots to very modern large language model powered voice agents that can handle super complex multitask workflows with a sense of real autonomy. And you might interact with these systems every day and have been for quite some time, probably things like Siri or Alexa, or anytime you write into a customer service agent and you get a bot responding to you.
Hey, thank you for that overview. So the business case for conversational AI is genuinely strong. Stanford AI Index found customer support agents using conversational AI resolved 14 to 15% of more issues per hour. And the market is projected to hit 41 billion by 2030. And retail and e-commerce are leading the adoption here. But what does it look like when these systems fail or when they go wrong?
Yeah, it can look like so many different things. It can be unexpected results in a conversation, or just plain wrong results, or inappropriate responses, or even inadvertent support of harmful behavior. And the pattern that shows up generally with these kinds of failures is that it's happening upstream of the conversation in decisions that were made before the interface was actually ever built. So this looks like what data trained the system, what it's allowed to do, what it's not allowed to do, and who's actually accountable when things do go wrong in some fashion.
Yeah, there is a car dealership example that I've heard of where a chatbot agreed to sell a $60,000 SUV for $1 and signed it off with, "That's a legally binding offer."
Yeah, this is one that got a lot of attention. It's from a couple years ago, but we're still seeing mishaps like this today. And it does get more consequential as conversational AI is becoming more capable because it's starting to be utilized at scale in potentially really sensitive areas like therapy and mental health. And there was this recent Brown University study that was testing AI chatbots that were specifically designed to use evidence-based therapeutic techniques. And they found that even these systems were systematically violating mental health ethics standards. So they were navigating crisis situations inappropriately, they were reinforcing negative beliefs and creating false impressions of empathy. And in these situations, for humans, for human therapists, there are licensing boards and liability in place, but for these systems that are AI driven systems, we don't have any of that right now.
Okay, so we actually have examples of where this can be a lot more serious and have a lot more negative impact than someone selling a car for a little bit less money. What does getting it right actually look like? And what are the questions that leaders can ask themselves here before they deploy any of this?
Yeah, we can think about it across four main layers, borrowing from enterprise architecture and the frameworks used there, where the consequential decisions that are getting made and where responsible principles need to actually live, not just existing in a document or a policy, but actually built into multiple layers of your business. The first layer is the business layer, and this means defining success beyond just efficiency. So you can imagine in a customer support function, this might look like deflection rate for a chatbot. What does value mean for the people using this system for the people on the other end of the conversation? And what are your guardrail metrics, which allow you to understand if something is causing harm or going really wrong? So that's our first layer. And then the second one is the data layer. So asking what your system learned and from who. So if you're starting with a very limited data set or a biased data set, this is where a lot of AI problems can be born and they're really hard to see. So by the time that you're live with a system, all of the decisions around the training data and what it was exposed to are in the past. And we're actually seeing transparency around foundational models dropping year over year. The models that most organizations are relying on are becoming less explainable, not more. So this data layer is being impacted and shifting as we move. So it's really important to focus on. And then the third one is the application layer. This is where you're actually engaging with users, where the conversation is happening. This is where designers are getting involved. And the important thing to remember here is to design for the full range of users, not just the happy path. And it's important to consider here who was in the room when certain escalation thresholds were set, who was considered when you were doing the user research, were the people that are actually closest to the actual impact involved in the decisions around the application design. And then fourth and finally is the technology layer. So this is deciding which tech systems are going to support all of these previous architectural decisions. And the most important thing here is building in observability from day one. So if you can't reconstruct what your system has said and why, then you can't govern it. And so things like logging and audit trails are really required features. They're not optional or nice to have if you're trying to have a production grade system at scale.
Thank you. And to close this, what is one question business leaders should be asking themselves?
Where do your company principles and values live in your architecture, within your conversational systems, and who is accountable when they're not followed?
Thanks, Allegra. And for the full newsletter, you can find it on our Substack, where we are doing a deep dive in conversational design and how to build responsibly. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.